Coda, you're going to be stirring and pouring. Okay, so either pick the sugar cube or the small pieces of sugar. I'll tell you when to put it in. When you put it in, listen. When you put Morgan. When you put it in, you're going to observe it. You're not going to stir right away. You're going to put it in, you're going to observe both cups. When I say stir, then you stir. Peter, you're going to follow directions, right? Right. You're going to pour this into one cup? Not yet, when I tell you. Makai, you're going to pour the sugar cube into this cup. When I tell you to. Kyle, you're going to pour the sugar cube. Jude, you're going to pour the pieces of salt into one cup when I tell you. And who hasn't? Elena and Catherine. You only have one? Yeah. And listen. If you're pouring, you're also stirring that same cup. Remember, we're stirring at the same speed as the other person. We're trying to get the sugar to dissolve as quickly as we can, but we don't want our cups to spill over. So you might have one hand on the cup, one hand on the stir. You can go ahead and pour your sugar into your cups. Yep, go ahead. Stop. Are you tattling? Are you tattling? You focus on your group. Don't stir yet. I didn't tell you to stir. I just want you to observe. Where did the little pieces of salt or sugar go? Bottom. Carson? Bottom. To the bottom. Where did the sugar cube go, Dalton? Bottom. You shouldn't be drawing anything yet, Dalton, because we haven't stirred it yet. You're going to stir. If you're a stirrer, you're going to stir it all the way until all the sugar dissolves. Okay? Stir is ready. One hand on the cup, so everybody can see, though. One hand stirring. Go. Stir at the same speed as your partner stirring the other cup. You're going to stir until it is dissolved. Observe what you see happening. Make sure you're stirring the very bottom. Stirring at the same speed.
It's still down there.
Where's your cube?
What? So tiny. It dissolved.
Keep stirring until it's dissolved.
Yes. It has. Yes, it has dissolved. No, it has dissolved. No. It's when it's salt when it's at the bottom. Yeah. It's dissolved. No, it's still salt. It's still salt.
3, 2, 1. Eyes and ears. What happened? Richard?
This one dissolved first.
Which one? You got to tell me which one dissolved first, which one dissolved first.
The sugar dissolved first, and
Well,
the sugar grains dissolved second.
did everybody get that? Raise your hand if your sugar cube dissolved first.
Our sugar cube dissolved first.
Didn't even finish dissolving? Keep stirring. Catherine, keep stirring. So your sugar cube, Richard, dissolved first? Really?
But still, there's no
Which one dissolved first, Daniel? The cube dissolved first? Really? Okay. Which one dissolved first for your group? Cube. Okay. Alright. So, listen up. Want everybody to come on up. Stand right in here. Okay. Okay. So we have a cube, right? Cube went in one cup. It's okay, I'm just going to explain. Cube went in one cup. The salt pieces went in another cup. So when we stirred the sugar cube, what happened? Carson? It started to dissolve. Did it dissolve quicker than the little pieces? No? Why? Raise your hand. Tell me why. How do you know? Shh. I didn't say for you to talk, Kyle. Right. It was in a bigger chunk, right? So not only did the cube have to break apart and then dissolve, those are the two things it had to do. The little pieces of salt, when you stirred, did they have to break apart? No, you started stirring and it started dissolving right away, right? The big cube had to break apart first. Peter, stop. Peter, stop. Had to break apart first, then it dissolved. What you should have found is that the cube took longer to dissolve because it had to break apart and then it would dissolve. The little pieces of sugar would have dissolved right away. So what we usually do is when we do when a scientist does an experiment, does he only do it once?
No.
Does he only do it twice?
No.
He does it lots of times. Why? Raise your hand. Why does a scientist do an experiment lots and lots of times? Tyler?
So he wants to get the correct amount of data.
He wants to make sure his results are the same every time. Peter, go sit back at your seat. Go sit back at your seat. We're not playing around. Go sit back at your seat. Sit back at your seat. Go, go, go.
No chair.
Okay. Pull that chair over there. We're not flicking our pencil. So our scientist does it multiple times because he wants to get the same results. If he only did it once, can he prove his results?
No.
His or her results? No. If he does it a second time and it comes out to find the same conclusion, can he prove it? He or she prove it? Maybe, but they do it multiple times. So if we wanted to figure out if the cube dissolved first or the little pieces of sugar dissolved first, we'd probably have to do this experiment 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Okay, let's go back to our seat and record what we saw in our cups. Sugar cubes and water, sugar grains and water. Which solid won the race?
What are you doing?
So we're going to draw our water. Well, what can you do, Peter? Okay. Question number 1. Sorry. Question number 3. That's good. Question number 3. Which solid won the race after we were talking in our group, big group? Which solid won the race? Will?
Sugar grains and water. What sugar grains?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Before we write anything for question number 3, before we write anything, what did we talk about? What did the sugar cube have to do before? Makai, you're talking when I am, and that's disrespectful. What did we talk about? The sugar cube had to do what before it dissolved? Jude?
It had to break apart before.
Right. So, if we did our experiment correctly, the sugar cube would win because it has to break apart first. Okay, but for these purposes, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this experiment again later in the afternoon with Peter, and I'm going to show you that the sugar cube will win. If we do it correctly, the sugar cube will win. For these purposes, for number 3, you write down in your experiment which cup won. The sugar cube and water or the sugar grains and water. Whatever one your experiment showed won is what you're going to write down. And at the bottom of that, it says, I think it won because. So if it was the sugar grains, why do you think it was the sugar grains? When I do my experiment together, I'm going to write down what happened in my experiment. So number 3 again, you're going to write down which cup won, the sugar cube with water or the sugar grains with water. And then you're going to explain why. Why do you think it won? Carter, I missed you. We're going to do this experiment again. Just write your name. Mr. Wetzel's going to do this. All right, Peter. Which one won? The sugar cube or the sugar grains?
Sugar grains.
Okay, right there. I think it won because. I think it won because. Certainly. Sugar cube, why? I think it won because why? Why would it have won? We already talked about it. What did the sugar cube have to do first? Before it could dissolve. Yeah, it had to break apart, right? Because the sugar cube had to break apart first, and then dissolve. Raise your hand when you're done. Raise your hand when you're done. Nathaniel, share your answer with us. Nice and loud. Yes. And why? Because it had to break apart first, then dissolve, where the other sugar just was already broken apart.